This is the third in a three-part series of resources that consider international trade. Part 1 provides definitions for terms related to international trade, focusing on the concept of protectionism. Part 2 answers the question of when trade makes sense through the lens of a simplified example. Part 3 considers the exchange rates for trading currencies from different nations and what effects changing those rates have on the balance of trade. Modern business is rarely isolated to only one nation. The largest companies must be able to do business in the United States, Europe, Japan, and many other nations. Whenever business is conducted, there must be money behind it. Unfortunately, there are as many different currencies as there are nations. Be it American dollars, the euro, Japanese yen, Mexican pesos, or other currencies, companies must be able to go from currency to currency. Therefore, there needs to be an exchange rate, or the price at which currencies trade for one another in the marketplace. This value is constantly changing. One possibility is a depreciation of a currency, which means a decrease in the value of a currency when compared to that for another nation's. The result of this is that domestic goods are cheaper while foreign goods become more expensive. This depreciation occurs when there is an increase in the money supply. Ultimately, depreciation of a currency results in an increase in that nation's gross national product. How? Let's go through the entire process. First, the Federal Reserve purchases bonds on the open market. This places new money into the supply. Because more money is available, there is less demand for cash. Therefore, banks lower their interest rates to increase demand for loans. The cheaper loans increase the investment portion of the GDP. At the same time, the increase in the money supply also lowers the exchange rate. This causes net exports to increase in two ways. Exports will increase because the native money is less expensive, while imports will decrease. Also, less imports mean that more domestic goods are purchased, which will increase the consumption portion of the GDP. So by increasing the money supply, three of the four factors of the gross domestic product all increase. So if simply increasing the money supply helps the gross domestic product so much, why do nations not continuously depreciate their currency? As we mentioned in an earlier resource, these GDP gains are only short term. In the long term, the increased money supply only leads to inflation. Also, there is intense foreign political pressure to avoid constant depreciation. Recall that trade goes two ways. If the trade partner keeps losing the ability to export, eventually they will cease all trade. To avoid fluctuations in the exchange rates and the havoc that can create on international trade, sometimes governments peg or fix the rates at which their currencies trade for each other. Of course, the two governments may mutually decide to change that fixed rate. Devaluation refers to a decrease in the fixed rate, while revaluation is an increase in the fixed rate. Devaluation has the same end results as currency depreciation. Short-term increases in the gross domestic product and long-term inflation increase.